So friends, Carl and I had a date, and it was to go out in nature and create art, basically, in a nutshell. And I wanted to show you, I took my jelly plates out. We grabbed some leaves and some flowers and different things just to play with. And I wanted to show you the results of my very first jelly plate experience. And I loved it. I had a lot of fun doing it. This page I'll probably do something additional to it, but this page I absolutely love just the way it is. So let me take you through some of the other ones that we created, and I'll show you his also. So I created this one using a stencil, and it's definitely a learning curve, but I actually love the way that this turned out. And then here's another. So this one goes up and down because you can see the plant, but this one can go sideways or, you know, whatever. And it's similar to the first one, and I absolutely love how that turned out. I love how both of those turned out, actually. Now, this was the first one that I did. It's on a paper bag, and you can see I did some playing, and I was able to get a leaf imprint, and that's from an actual leaf that I picked up off the ground. Also, there's a small one here, so that was really fun to just do some experimenting. And then this, I did have a leaf, a little bit of an imprint here, just partially, and then also some stencil, as you can see. This side I would consider not done, and actually this side I would consider not done also, so I'll probably add a little something to these. Oh, there's another leaf imprint from a real leaf that we use. This is, you can see the whole sprig if you look. There's a leaf here, and here, and here, and here. So that was kind of cool. And then this one's kind of fun. It's just sort of all over the place, but I really like it. It looks, you know, it looks like to me like almost like a brick building where some of the paint's coming off, and I think that's pretty neat. And then here's this one. I used that same stencil on this one, and I actually love the results of this as well. So I really enjoyed it, guys. Now here's Carl's, and I was really proud of him for experimenting. He had put some tape down first, and then he experimented with the jelly roll and some stamping, and just, you know, it was fun that he took time to actually play, because this was definitely out of his wheelhouse. Now I want to take a little time and embellish these up a little bit more so that they will be ready to put in a journal. I'm going to start on the other side of this one. This is a piece of paper. It's a brown piece of paper, as you can see. And what I'd like to do is start with some pattern paper. A lot of us that are into junk journaling, other paper crafts, and that enjoy working with vintage things, a lot of us have pattern paper. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and put some on this and then see what we can do with it. I'll probably break out some sandpaper, do a little sanding on it, and then see how else we can dress up this page. You can see that there's some pattern paper hanging over, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue on this other side and have it extend over to this side of the page. Once it's dry, I'll go ahead and tear it away and get a rough edge. I always like a little bit of a not straight edge, especially when I'm working with the pattern paper. I was given some 12-inch decorative edges, and I'm going to go ahead and use one of those that I think will coordinate nicely with the sort of vibe that I've got going on with these colors. This to me leans very natural. These could be easily used in a grungy journal if I wanted to use them in that way. I'm going to trim that up, and then I'm going to start tearing away the pattern paper. This black line on the pattern paper is just so solid, and I really don't like it. It's too much of a defining line. So I am going to go ahead and use my sandpaper and rough that up a little bit. And you can see I went over some of the pattern paper in other places and roughed it up. I'm also roughing up this edge that I had adhered onto the page. Now I'm tearing away the loose parts of the pattern paper on this edge, and once I'm done with that, I'm going to grab my sandpaper and just clean that up. You know, sometimes when you're tearing away you can't get it all, but the sandpaper will grab those loose pieces and get rid of them. Now I've got a map here and I want to go ahead. This was a scrap laying on my desk, and I think I want to go ahead and adhere this to the edge of this page. So the Gelli plate is not as long as my paper was, so you can see that there's a little bit of blank space on the ends. So I'm just gonna cover this one up with this book page. I feel like both sides of this looks pretty good. So there's one, and here is the other side. And I think I have it in a place that I could put it in a journal, and then I can add more to it to make it work in that particular journal. This one is a paper bag, and the pattern, the stencil that I used on this one is vertical. So I want to use this vertically. So I'm folding it in half just to give myself an idea of the size of the page that it'll be. And I'm going to cut the top off at about the 8.5-inch mark, because if we're using 8.5 by 11 papers, that's the height that the journal would be. It might end up going into a smaller journal. I can always trim it up some more, but I definitely am going to start with the 8.5. Sometimes when I use a paper bag, I forget that I can put a tag in it because it's actually like a pocket. So that I don't forget, I'm going to use my circle punch, and then it will look like a place that I'm supposed to put something. It'll be a good reminder. You can see how it looks now that I used the circle punch, and there's just a nice little indent there. I have grabbed my decorative papers, and I'm going to add a couple of these to the paper bag. Now I like the pattern that came out when I did the gel plate, so I'm not trying to cover all of that. I'm actually just trying to cover the edges that are plain. So I'm going to tear these papers and then pretty much just glue them into the corners. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but I'm going to grab my pen and try to add a little color to the edge. This pen, I guess it's supposed to be sparkly, and so you can see I'm adding some to the upper, just the paper bag part, but I don't really see any sparkles, so I wonder if it's better on lighter colored paper. I'm going to add another embellishment to the left side. This is a sticker. This was given to me by a family friend. Actually, she gave me a bunch of them. That's some of the items that I'm doing for my Sharing is Caring giveaway. They were given to me by her, so I am sharing the love on that. So at any rate, I'm adding a little bit of glue because I don't want the sticker to come off, and I've got paint on this paper, and I've got just a lot going on. So I think a glue will be a nice bit of insurance to keep it adhered to the page. I'm putting a sticker on the other side as well, trying to get it more into the blank spot, and it's sort of just taking up some of that space that doesn't have a lot going on. I think this looks great, so I think it's time to move on to the next page. I'm going to add a piece of paper, a piece of decorative paper, to this one as well. I wanted to be sure to mention that this is also a paper bag, and you can see on the left was the original opening. On the right, I went ahead and used my paper cutter and cut off the end that was closed, and then I used my punch, my circle punch, to make a little divot there so that I would remember to pop a tag or a piece of paper inside of that. You can see that I'm tearing this paper too, and I'm actually going to tear this in 4 different pieces. First, I'm folding it in half so that I can visualize how it's going to look inside of a journal. And again, I'm adding this paper to add some interest to the page, also to just take up some space in the corners. They're kind of plain, so just adding it for those reasons. I'm using my marker to add a little color to the edges, but honestly, I think I'll like it better if I go back with my ink and that little brush. You guys have seen me use it. It's that little brush for stenciling. I think I'll hit the edges with that. Now this side of the paper bag, I didn't use fresh paint. I put it down on the Gilli plate to just pick up whatever was left over, and that's why this side looks a little plain. So I have some scraps of lace on my desk. I have a pile of them, and actually I was organizing my craft room last night, and I instead of putting those away, I just put them on a little pile on my desk because I want to go ahead and use them up. So hopefully within a week's time, I will have used up all of the scrap lace that was in the pile. I'm not saying that's all the scrap lace I have. That's just all that was in my pile from cleaning up. So I've added a sticker. It looks like a die cut, but it was actually a sticker, and I did add some hot glue to the back of that. Now, this piece was given to me as well, and it's got a little teacup on it. So I thought that would be fun to go ahead and adhere. Once I get this glued down, I want to add some additional lacy accents to it. I wanted to mention that if you hear airplanes and motorcycles and cars and maybe trucks, it's because I have all of my windows and doors open today. So my apologies for that. It's 77 degrees today and sunny. It's absolutely beautiful and very low humidity, so it's literally the perfect day. I'm enjoying adding all this lace, but this particular side is looking extremely vertical to me. It's very long and not very wide, which is fine, but I think I want to add even more. So I'm going to grab some of the lace that I have in my cabinet, and I'm going to put a strip all the way down the right-hand side. When I'm finished working on these, I'm going to show them all to you again. Now this one, I really like it and I don't want to change it, so I'm just going to clean up the edges. Because of the way that I did the stencil, this one is also going to be vertical. This is not a paper bag, this is just a piece of paper, but it's been printed on both sides. These can use some more embellishing, but I'm very excited about how they look. So I'm going to give you like a little flip through. This is not a journal, although it could be. But I'm going to give you a little flip through of what they will look like when they are in a journal. Unless I decide to make this a journal, it's looking pretty darn good. I could add some pages to it and have a nice grungy little journal. That would be amazing, actually. Tell me what you guys think. Should I go ahead and add some additional pages and make this a journal, or should I just use them separately in other journals? Let me know your thoughts on that. Well, my friends, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.